Get started with our work session, and I've got a few things on a work session agenda. And the first one is I've asked Eric Maynard and Cooper here this evening. At our last board meeting, we experienced difficulty with the sound system downstairs, staying on and off, and we realized that it is quite antiquated. It's old. It's been in that boardroom since 1994. So having an update would certainly be something that I think would be a good thing moving forward. So I immediately came back and talked to Eric and Cooper, and they came forward they had done a lot of work, and they have a presentation that they're going to make for you all tonight, and about how we can move forward in the boardroom downstairs with an AV refresh. So I'm going to turn it over to Eric at this time, and he's provided each one of you with a packet. If you don't, Paul doesn't have a packet. Let me get Paul one. Does everybody else have a packet? Okay. And Eric, we'll let you take it from here.
Well, good evening, everyone. As Evelyn said, I don't think this is going to come to a surprise to anyone, the need in what I'm about to share with you. As she said, the system down there is extremely antiquated. We'll go over a couple of bullet points. I promise this will be short, and I will not be too techy. You take that as far as you want to take it. I'm a technology supervisor, so. And also I can't promise you that it's going to look like this one today. But the boardroom audio video refresh. The packet that I gave you all, it basically has everything I'm going to discuss up here. This is just about 5 or 6 slides. The packet you have has some more information in it, a little bit more technical stuff in it, just so you have it. But as kind of Evelyn was talking about, some of the current issues we have downstairs, as you're well aware of being down there month after month, antiquated equipment, low quality brands. It's kind of been an issue that's been sort of band-aided over the years. When something breaks, something is just kind of band-aided and patched over on top of it. That just has led and sort of compounded, clarity issues, things like that. Out-of-date frequency usage with the current equipment. The wireless mics are very antiquated, so the frequency bands they're trying to use is causing problems with the wiring down there with our speakers. Our speakers in the ceiling are good. We've had those verified. So a lot of the problems is just coming from the equipment in the closet, the microphones, things like that. Obviously, in the last 4 to 5 years, video streaming and stuff has really obviously exploded, and we want to stay on the cutting edge of that as much as possible. Obviously, we have no dedicated streaming infrastructure down there. We're relying on, over the past couple of years, we've had external people come in. We've had people from Westridge, and it's worked, obviously. But to have that nice, dedicated, in-place infrastructure down there at a high quality that's tied into the audio, so it's getting those feeds. You're not just relying on external microphones, things like that. And also being able to not just stream, but also record and archive meetings, special meetings, board meetings, etc. We currently don't have any mixing capability. I put web-based controls, but I would say, easy to use user interfaces for people. So we have no customization, no way to tweak audio, video, anything like that. And again, as I said, all of this has led to low quality audio output, lack of clarity, popping, hissing, all the things that you're all are well aware of. So this is a 2-phase project, and I don't mean 2-phase in terms of time, 2-phase in terms of audio and video. And we're going to utilize professional branding, so things like Switchblade, Shure, Behringer, so top quality brands. These are just some quick snapshots. Again, all this in your packet in a little bit more detail. So the conference audio is going to rely on the Shure Microflex conference system. I will let you know this is basically the current newer version of what they have over at the county. So you might be a little bit familiar. You might be able to recognize the bottom unit, which is what you'll have at your desks. Kind of up at the top, adding into that not just the conference units at each of the board members' sitting places, but also all new systems for guest speakers with handheld mics, but also over the ear, not lavalier, but over the ear mics for guest speakers, so for special events, for professional development, things like that. But the Shure system is web-based, so it's easy to use. It's network connected. It's wireless, the way it communicates with the sound system. So that is one of the challenges that we immediately saw downstairs. Like Evelyn said, that place everything that's down there now has been in place for a long time, and basically it's just built up around it. There's no easy access to all the cabling and wiring that we have down there. So this will make that much easier because it relies on wireless setup. Like I said, Audix, guest mic and headset mic, and then not pictured, but some Behringer equipment to kind of tie all that together with mixing capability, et cetera, et cetera. This system, unlike what is over at the county, each of your units has a touch screen. We kind of discussed that with Evelyn, and this is more, I think, forward thinking. I don't know if it's something that you would be interested in using, but it does have capability for things like voting, rather, touch screen voting. You can see who's speaking on the screen, things like that. So has a multitude of different uses. And if you have questions for that, Cooper can definitely answer some of those. That's why I have Cooper here. Cooper, just as an aside, he's my newest member to my tech team, and he'll be the team lead in this project. He's very knowledgeable in audio, video, and he's done a great job helping putting all this together. Just some quick pictures, and I think these next two slides are in your packet, so you can kind of get a better idea of what the actual unit looks like, at the board member spots. So you can see the touch screen. It's got a couple, I know it's a little bit hard to see up here, but you can see some of the touch screen features such as voting, things like that. I think it has a 20-inch mic, is that right? Yeah, that's what we had. So a 20-inch mic, so it's got plenty of reach. So all that will be taken care of. It also has audio outputs on the side. So if there's ever any problems with hard of hearing, anything like that, you can plug in a head, earbuds, things like that. Because it's also got a speaker in it, so it'll be much easier to hear when people are clicking the buttons to speak. Like I said, it's all wireless. They run on lithium-ion batteries, so all that comes with it. And really important for us is it's easy to monitor and to control. It's all web-based. It's very user-friendly, very intuitive, and it offers a tremendous amount of customization. And it's also, and we'll see that in a second, it's going to seamlessly integrate within the streaming and video recording as well. So you're getting that good quality audio on our video feeds. So because there's nothing worse than watching a video and it's still hard to hear because you're relying on just an external microphone on a camera or something like that. So have a real quick 1-minute video just to kind of show you the system just a little bit closer. Touch real quick on the video portion. So the video and streaming, we'll be using Switchblade M9 and PTZ camera. So again, this is going to be a dedicated in-place infrastructure. The camera is fairly small. It pivots, tilts, zooms, all the good stuff. It'll be mounted permanently on probably the back wall, obviously facing the platform. Like I said, it'll record, be very easy to use, integrated with YouTube streaming, or I know that's generally how we've always done it, but it'll work with just anything. So be able to have that dedicated in place, integrated in with the audio for video streaming and recording. It's very high quality, top of the line stuff. Just to kind of give you a snapshot on pricing, which you also have in your packets, you can kind of, I'm not going to go down through the list on all that, but you can see pretty much at the budget we're looking for, looking at implementing. I will say, unfortunately, like everything else in our world since COVID, parts of the equipment, including the most important part, which is the Shure system, is suffering from supply shortages, supply chain issues, whatever you want to call it. So this project probably will not kick off probably for another 4 to 6 months. That's what they're telling us right now. We've spoke with several different vendors, and all of them pretty much has given us the same sort of feedback that that's the time frame they're looking just to get the equipment in. But my technology department will be doing all the complete install and setup and any training, anything like that that's needed. So as soon as it comes in, we're excited to kind of get going and get started.
Will there be something, okay, so I saw what each member's podium will look like, but will the chair have a different, is there a way to make it to where he will be able to say, this mic is hot, this mic is hot, this mic is hot, and turn it off? Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay,
Cooper,
great.
you want to talk to that for just a second?
Yeah, so it'll show, which ones are being spoken on at that second, and with one thing that is integrated into it, it has an NFC reader, so if you had cards that you wanted to put, you can just scan it on it and it would say what delegate's sitting there. So it kind of helps organize things, and it has different roles, so you have the leader, you have delegates, you have other people, and then with the leader they can do a speak request. So say a delegate wants to speak, they have to be approved to speak.
Okay, that's great. So he'll be able to, could he, mute the mics? And the reason I'm asking is because sometimes in the audience, if someone's saying something, we got children present, it might be inappropriate. We don't have the ability to stop that. So would he be able to?
Yeah, the leader will be able to just, in the person talking, you'll just go
That's
to mic.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught it too in the video, it's extremely expandable too.
Okay.
So we can add, if there's need to add more of the more physical units for, down on the floor for other possible meetings.
Great.
They can be added really simply, and all that would just tie right in.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's all connected to an access point as well, so it's undedicated spot. There's nothing else they can connect to it rather than these systems.
Any other questions?
Do we have to bid anything with this, or is it,
No, we can move ahead with this. We've already gotten approval through SR2. And so we'll start the process tomorrow unless there's an objection from someone in here about what they've set up. They've spent a considerable amount of time researching and pulling this information together. And as we went through this, we wanted to make sure we also had the capability to video. That room gets used a lot, not only by the Board of Education, but also by the Health Department. And even sometimes the Sheriff's Department has used that boardroom for press conferences and different things. So having that capability where we could utilize and video training events and things of that nature and not have, because it's at night, we're very fortunate that we have our AV department and we can utilize Westridge for that. But during the day and different meetings and different things, it would be good to have that recording option. And this way we do. And then the other piece of this is with our technology team being able to do the install. That's just an added bonus here. So we will be moving on this tomorrow unless there's an objection from the board. And if the board has any other suggestions for any other added components. I think it will work very well. I like that we're moving into the newest components with the video screen. And then the board will have the option to utilize whatever options that are available, certainly moving forward, and love that we can, that the board will be able to add to it if needed.
Just as a real quick update too, because I don't know if everybody is aware of it. As of Friday, the Health Department installed a brand new projector and screen down there. It's much better quality. And we will be working with their IT department too to see about adding some more additional inputs and outputs to get to it. I know we've kind of relied on Apple TV, and then there's that one spot down there that has an old VGA connection. So we're going to work with their IT and see about the possibility of running some more connections, just to have a more wider variety of connections like HDMI, things like that. So we'll be talking to them very soon.
And Eric, thank you so much for mentioning that the Health Department has just replaced the projector and the screen. So again, just a joint effort all the way around to work together and do things. And so I think it'll be a really nice situation once it gets finished.
it's SR2 money?
SR2.
And if y'all look at the back of your packet, on the very last page, I prepared a signal flow diagram that shows how the cabling will go and how everything will be equalized.
So if you have any questions, you can refer back to that.
And I think they'll all just understand that 100% clear. I took one brief look at it and I knew exactly what I was looking
You leave
at.
no stone unturned.
Perfect.
Thank you, Cooper. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Cooper, and appreciate all the work and the information you provided to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward, well, let's say welcome to Mr. Chuck Carter. So we're glad to have you and glad that you made it for our work session. So the next person I'd like to introduce as we continue our work session is the newest member of our team. And he's already turning around the place, everybody. This is Mr. Justin Steffi. He is our new transportation coordinator, safety coordinator. He reported to work Monday and he came back Tuesday, came back Wednesday, and he even came back today. So I think we waited it out. We started this interview process, believe it or not, in October. We posted and how many people would you say we interviewed, Ingrid? 20?
10, I'd say.
10? It seemed more like 20 to me. So. I think it was more than 10, but we got fortunate. I gave you all some background on Justin. You know, I'm thrilled that we have a Sullivan East High School graduate here with us. He's very invested in our school district. He has a daughter who attends Indian Springs. He knows the area. He knows Sullivan County. He has a lot of connections at the Sheriff's Department and different things that he, you know, I was just really thrilled when I got to meet Justin, and he just seemed like a real good fit. Justin, would you like to say anything? Don't want to put you on the spot, but
just
you've done
glad-
real well when I
yeah,
put you
yeah,
on the spot
yeah.
so far, so.
Just glad to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity. So I'm excited to see what the future holds and see what happens.
As I told you all in my update, my favorite thing that Justin said a lot of really good things, but he said, I'm not looking for a job, I'm looking for a career. And that said a lot to me, because I think he can take our current situation, and I think he can expand and build a lot of things there. And he was already on it today. He's called me this afternoon and said, we ordered, if you all will recall, we've ordered 15 buses. And he got the call today that 2 of the buses are on their way. So we'll start getting some buses. They're not all coming at one time, which is really good, but they'll all be here very soon. But we've got two of the 15 on their way, and excited about that. So again, Justin Steffi, our transportation / safety coordinator. Ms. Buckles has been serving as our safety coordinator. She'll continue to do that until we just ease that over to Justin. Right now, he's getting his feet wet with transportation.
Oh, yeah.
Cody has done a great job in that area, and I think all of you all, I've told you, Cody just requested, said, you know, I want to go back to technology, and that's okay. But certainly, I would be remiss if I did not mention what a great job Cody has done in that position. And he's spending all this week with Justin, working with him, taking him around, and Cody's not leaving, so he'll be a good resource for Justin, and we'll do everything we can to continue this. So, wanted to make sure all of you knew Justin. Yes, sir.
You keep us posted on the tracking system that we've been trying to.
Yes, and that's one of the things, Justin will tell you that one of the first things I told him I wanted to happen was I wanted to branch out in the software so that we could have the capabilities not only to track our buses with GPS systems, but also that we looked at the component where students had cards that they scan on and off the bus so that we know exactly who's on the bus at what time, and if we were to have an emergency or if we didn't, we know who's on our buses. So we've got, he and Cody are working on setting up some times for vendors, a couple of vendors to come in, Transfinder, VersaTrans, I'm not sure who else. But we're gonna look at some packages and start putting some information together. So Yes,
I'd
sir.
I'd like a report periodically on how many routes are cut daily and monthly and
Right.
what's actually being run as opposed to what we're paying.
Right, and I agree with you, Mr. Hughes.
Are we looking to get that tracking on the contractor buses too?
Yes.
So we would be paying to put that on the buses?
Well, I'm looking to write it into the contract. All right, next, the next two items on the agenda on the work session are just brief updates. I did talk to Charlie earlier, one being the Henry Harb property. Rick, you got your pen ready? The Henry Harb property, I think you all realize it's done nothing but rain for I don't know how many days now. That we are on the list of, what's the name of the surveyor?
John Mize.
John Mize has us on the list to survey that property.
I got a call from him this afternoon. He's coming by my office at 9:30 or so in the morning, and then we want to proceed out there and look at it.
Okay, so that's the latest update we have is, that's why it's not on your board agenda as an action item or anything like that tonight. That activity will take place tomorrow. So, thank you, Charlie. The next thing I had was the Sullivan Heights pool. Again, we don't have anything concrete, but I'm going to yield to Charlie there to go ahead and tell them who you've talked to about the Sullivan Heights pool.
As I reported last time, I got a call from a company out of South Carolina. They're actually going to be remodeling the pool within the area. I got a call from him yesterday stating that they're pretty much covered up with their work, but they were sort of wanting to wait till they came up this way. He said within the next week they'll be coming up here starting that job. And I sent him the results of that testing we had done from that company out of Knoxville, that leak detection company. So within the next couple of weeks, I hope he will show up and they will look at that situation and give us some information as to which way we need to go. I don't know, I'm looking at, this is just me, looking at the cost might be quite a bit. I'm thinking that we may have to put this as a bid thing, or may even have to get an architect to come in and look at it and go that route, rather than just say, well, they fix it, because I don't know what their evaluation will be once they come and evaluate it, but I think they will find some more stuff in the detection company I had out of Knoxville. They just done a dive in the pool and checked for leaks. This company will also look at the filtration system and also the chlorination system, and it's pretty old, so I'm sure they're going to recommend replacing all that chlorine and all the filtration system that's there in because we talked about that quite a bit on the phone, how old it was, and I sent him a couple of pictures. So I think that might be another recommendation they're going to come up with too. He promised me within the next couple of weeks they should be coming this way if they finish up another job, and he will get with me, and I will let everyone know whenever they are going to show up on site.
Who are they?
It's part of Patterson Pool Construction. They're out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. It's a division of another construction company. Let me look it up right here.
While he's looking that up, I will say, you know, we made it through swim season for Westridge using the central pool. And they ended up with 2 students qualifying for the state event, which at some point we will have here after that state swim meet. And that's the good news, is that we were able to make it through with using the central pool.
Getting old stinks.
Is there any other questions about the pool while Charlie's looking that up?
right now.
All right, we'll come back to that, Charlie, when you get that
Okay.
name. The next thing, the next thing I have on my work session agenda is, you've heard us have conversations that this is the math textbook adoption year. And we are heavy into that process. Our teachers have worked hard at every level, elementary, middle, and high school. And here behind me, you can see some of the charts here with some of the pros and cons and how they're really trying to finalize and get into that. But as we worked through that the other day, we got into the conversation about, and it came out of our high school meeting from one of our teachers, that so many times we look at the textbook from the adult's perspective and not so much from the student's perspective. In the elementary meeting, when we had that conversation, and thank you, Dr. Rouse, for coming. She's on the textbook committee for the board, and she was in here. We got into the conversation about, what's this look like from a student's perspective? So one of our teachers, elementary teachers, went back, and she actually sent me this video. So it's 8 minutes long, but this is going to be the most joy you have all day until you see your own family. So if you all will, I want you to turn your attention to the screen. And these are second graders at Mary Hughes who are evaluating math textbook adoption, math textbook options.
Alright, so we are now talking about Eureka Squared and McGraw here. And so I want you just to kind of review what you just said about, or was it Oakley? It may have been Ivy. I want you to tell them what you were saying about this page. Like, what were you saying in comparison to that one? Go ahead.
This one doesn't have enough space to do methods and stuff. This one has a whole page of methods that you do. There's already a family level right there, and you can do orientation and all the other methods you know. But this one, there's only a very small square, and you can't really do anything.
Yeah, like you could be like orientation diagram stack up here and family bundle, but on this one you can only do like one method. And what if that method is wrong? And this way, if one of your method is wrong, you have more room to put another method.
So you're saying that when you're working this problem out, basically, that you could use the part whole, and then you could also work it out different ways to see if the answer's correct and explore it better.
When you're reading this, the sentences are really close together. Like when I might be done with this one, I might accidentally skip this one, and this one just has like one thing.
Okay. So let's go ahead. Hang on. Let me go with what Avery was saying real quick. So you're saying on word problems. So you're saying this word problem, the sentences are so close you might mess up because show me what you were just showing us. So if you're reading.
I was reading this one, like, and I finished this one, I might go accidentally skip this one and go down to.
Very good. But then this one we feel like is more spread out so that you might not have that problem. I do see this basis.
Just take a pencil and then read what.
That's true. So you can use a tracker. Absolutely, you can fix that. But this one, that Avery was saying, I hadn't even thought about that. Because I really looking at it from a different perspective than me. And that is true, there is no space.
Okay, let me find it.
Listen to it.
And then, like, you wouldn't, if it was that one line that explained the directions, then you wouldn't know what to do.
Very good.
It's spaced out.
Spaced out.
And like on this, you don't have to work like this many things like they were this many things and that. It writes they were this many for you and then blank in the number. And then you write the number and you're like, oh, I don't have to write anything. I don't have to do this.
So you feel like instead of having to focus on the writing, they're focused on the math. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Very good.
So we get mixed up in like read last word.
Alright.
I like it because like it actually has these little things to say where you should do stuff. But sometimes I get confused on where to put things, and then it says.
So you like that it says read, draw, and write?
Yeah, it reminds you.
Very good. That's a good point. That's another thing I hadn't thought about, because we have our poster in here, but in Miss Bowman's room, yeah, so I need to actually make that. But the read, draw, write does explain to you where to do certain things. And then you all were telling me as well that this one was a little crowded, right?
It's like, I also like.
And let's not let me talk about it.
And it has an example, so if you weren't listening, then you would still know what to do.
So you like that this one had the examples. So that helps you be more independent.
And I like this one how it has the say where you say that you can write them, because if you have to look over there, people with bad eyesight that sit over here
Might not be able to see it. There you go. And you all were saying earlier too that there's more space to like kind of look at your different strategies. Very good.
Like on this one, there's like too much stuff. Like let's say you're reading, you're like, wait, I don't know where I am. Wait, what do I do?
Okay, so it's very busy.
On this one, it's very easy.
Oh, this is the thing of that.
This is the page. And on this one, it's like, okay, this is very small. So like, use voice value just to add. It's just like one simple sentence.
It's simple and straightforward.
It's also necessary because it already has the this, and all you need to do is add the ones that you need.
There you go.
And you don't have to write as. And kids who have like some trouble like adding stuff, this is easy for them. So they can be like, oh wait.
Because it shows more models.
And so those kids will see they will go into the easy math until they'll be able to go up to the hard math.
There you go.
Thank you. So what you don't know, I just like that. You can go higher.
So it's like paced well. So you feel like it starts not so bad and then it just kind of gradually builds on itself. Ivy, what did you want to say, sweetie?
So if you work on a carpet with this work page, I feel like when you work too hard, then it will put the pencil and you're like, oh no, what?
Oh, so you feel like the pages are a little thin.
Yeah, well, like,
You know what?
like soft.
So you're feeling the pages. Oh my gosh, that's a really good observation.
This
Oh,
page when you're writing, you could be like, oh no, put a hole and just be like a little black.
that's a good observation, Ivy. I haven't even thought about that part. All right.
Everybody
I like it, that's good.
I had to share that with you all because, you know, they have such a great perspective, and certainly we don't want to leave them out, but to bring out that the pages, the thickness is different and their pencil might go through the page, I thought, you know, that's certainly not anything that came out in our evaluation meetings the other day, so I hope you all enjoyed that. All right, so that concludes what I had for the work session, just that were some items that were not included on your agenda. So at this time, I'm going to move into the board agenda. Any questions before I do that? Yes, Charlie?
The construction company is Paddock, P-A-D-D-O-C-K, P-A-D-D-O-C-K, Paddock Construction Company, out of Rock Hill, South Carolina. They do a lot of pool installations. They have a division under their company that works with leaks and stuff like that. So that's the company that I have coming, okay? You can go online and see some of the pools that they've done and get some more information about it.
All right, moving into the school board meeting. On the consent agenda, we have several field trip requests and then the dual enrollment agreement with Walter State. The next item on the agenda is the director of schools contract. Mr. Jones?
Give you a copy of the draft last month. Anybody have any corrections or comments on that? Chuck had a copy of it at the time, so if you find anything else, that's good. So all I have now, I'll give this to you. This is just a copy without the red ink on it.
Thank you.
these shares.
They're also from 1994.
You got that. But if there's no corrections that you have, I will make a motion when it starts, or ask for a motion when it starts from one of you to approve the contract, and that has to be the first item on the agenda, the first action item, so we'll do that and move forward. And starting the day tomorrow, right?
All right, item number 6, communications to the board. We will be honoring you all tonight as well for School Board Appreciation Week. We have a lot of signage, so we put some in here for you to enjoy during your work session. And there'll be several items downstairs as well. Parent-Teacher Conference Day is Monday, this coming Monday. We'll also introduce our SCOPE students, and I've got a couple more things I'll bring out about Central Girls Basketball, and also we have Lindsay Chapman who will be here with us this evening to be recognized. Moving into unfinished business, the sale of the Colonial Heights Middle School property, the restricted account. There was some question about that, so I did add it on here. It is not an action item this evening, but I do want Ingrid to provide some information there.
So in the October 18th meeting, there was a motion made by Mr. Hughes and seconded by Mr. Iverson to take the funds from that sale of Colonial Heights Middle School and put it into a reserve account. And that was approved unanimously. So we've already got that motion in place, and those monies will go into that reserve account at the end of the year. And that will be restricted for just whatever capital project that you have. If we should need those monies before the end of this fiscal year, that will require us to get a resolution together and take that to the county commission for their approval to add to this current year's budget. But as it stands right now, everything is set and ready to go. That $2,999,800 will roll into a reserve account at the end of this fiscal year.
So we really couldn't use it till 2024.
You could use it in 23-24. We would just put that in our budget document for that and have that approved with our budget. Kind of like we did with the sale of or with the purchase of the property. Remember how we did that?
But it requires no action from the county commission.
But you said, yeah.
Correct. If we do it that way, we just present it with our budget for 23-24, and you can utilize it wherever you have it budgeted once that's approved. But if we need to use it before then, we would have to have before the end of this fiscal year, June 30th, 2023.
Yeah.
We would have to have a resolution approved by the county commission.
If we get the bids back on the driveway for West Ridge, and we wanted to use this money for the driveway, and it's before the June the 30th, it would require a resolution, right?
Correct.
Either way, you've got to go back to county commission on the driveway resolution to take it out of fund balance or to take it from this reserve account here. Because the way the resolution was approved originally from the county commission,
They have to have approval again.
they have to approve the actual bid once we get the bids in.
Correct.
And that goes to bid hopefully sometime in March.
Okay.
So it is potentially possible, hopefully, that we'll have the bids back prior to that.
So if that was the case, then at the end of March, we have something, we could take it to the April meeting, and you could take your whatever bid we get for that, and we could take our resolution that says we want to pay for this out of that reserve account.
I mean, it has to either come from fund balance or from one of these reserve accounts, either way,
Right.
so.
Right. Sure enough.
Is everybody good with that explanation? So tonight, when we have that on the agenda, that's, as I said, that's not an action item, it'll just be for clarification. Item 8A is policy 4.405, employee development materials. And the reason that is appearing on your agenda this evening is we've actually added a sentence to that policy, and it's lines 8 and 9. The school system retains all rights to all data stored in all employees' Sullivan County Schools Google Drive. We use Google for just about everything. We have employees who leave and they need to search. We give them 7 days to remove anything from their Google Drive that they want to save, that kind of thing. But once that happens, we retain ownership of anything else and that is in there. So we just we've added that to make sure that everybody realizes, and that's much like our statement about email, that, our email is our Gmail, but this just goes along with documents, things that have been created by teams of people to say that those items will stay with our Google Drive and ownership is with Sullivan County Schools.
So just a clarification, because the way you said that, I want to make sure. I know there's a site that a lot of teachers use, like teachers, pay teachers, or something, so that wouldn't include that, right? It's
No,
something they made, it's only teams?
This is just our Google Docs,
Okay.
our instructional materials,
That's great.
things of that nature, things that our teams of teachers and teachers have created within our Google Drive.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. I will be asking for approval of this policy on first reading this evening. The next policy that you have is policy 5.310, vacations and holidays. This is a cleanup as well as an addition. There was some redundancy in this policy. So we've removed the terminology in item C under vacation near the bottom of the page that says, for the purpose of determining vacation time, the year shall begin July 1 and end June 30. It doesn't really specify any length of years, it just says a month to a month. So we took that out, and we took out that support staff vacation will be calculated on an hourly basis because we have support staff that work 7.25. We have support staff that work 8 hours a day. So basically a day is a day regardless of the number of hours that you work. So we took that out. Quite frankly, on E, the statement employees hired before July 1, 1984, you're looking at her. And so that's not going to be a statement that we need any longer. Vacation is awarded on July 1 of each fiscal year unless otherwise contractually approved by the board. That is there because the board does have a contract with an employee, and that is the director of schools. We need to make sure that was in there.
And this almost became a problem in the audit last year.
Yes.
Because they questioned vacation pay. Dr. Cox was hired and given vacation, like Chuck will have vacation coming in, and it was in conflict with that July 1st date that was in the policy. And I called their attention to the contract that we had that said he had it. Now, they didn't put it in the findings, but that initially, when we had the pre-meeting, that was a discussion, so it's important to make sure that that's cleaned up for Chuck and also for Evelyn before she leaves.
And I think adding that statement will take care of that. I think additionally, what we've added there is, again, this is to clarify what a statement that was already in here, but it just doesn't make it as clear as this last statement. And that is, the maximum amount of accrued vacation can only be a total of 2 years allocation. For example, an employee who earns 2 weeks of vacation can only have a maximum of 4 weeks at any time. Any balance over the maximum will be lost. Any request for vacation that exceeds 10 consecutive days must be approved by the director of schools. That mirrors what we have for our current leave policy as well, that 10 consecutive days.
Can I ask one question before you move on?
Mm-hmm.
The last, what we striped out before, the part that's bold and highlighted, wouldn't it be cleaner to take that out, the earned vacation must have taken within 24 months, if you're already saying the 2 weeks and the 4 weeks? It just kind of, I don't see what the point with that would be, but if there's a point, I'm fine with it. I just wonder if there is a point of that.
Quite frankly, we were just trying to make it, that we left that because it was in there. That's what's in the original policy.
Okay.
The next statement just goes a step further, I mean, we're just trying to make it perfectly clear, and then we provide the example. I see what you're saying, Mr.
I
Iverson.
think what you put makes it very clear. I just
We're
think the
just-
line before kind of, I just don't know if it's, I don't think it helps. I think what you put's very clear.
Okay.
But I'm just thinking about it.
And that's always been the case. This is nothing new. It's always been, you get your vacation, it can carry over for 1 year, but, you know, we're trying to make it clear because there's been some question about, you know, carrying over vacation for more than 2 years. And I think the policy is very generous in that you can't carry over for a year, but we want to make sure it's clarified. And some of this came out of the COVID years when they weren't able to use vacation, and vacation got carried over, and we had some employees with more than 2 years allocation, and certainly no one has lost any of that vacation. We've made sure everyone that had that it carried over. So I will have this policy for review tonight, okay, in case you all have any questions. But this policy is on here for a review tonight, which means at our March meeting, I will be asking for approval.
To comment on this policy too, under 12-month employees, paid holidays. Line 29, 12-month employees get 2 floating holidays. Now that became an issue last month when you all voted to make Martin Luther King a paid holiday. Technically, it could have been one of the floating holidays if somebody wanted to use it. These 2 holidays were put in many years ago, long before I was on the board. And it was part of, I guess, part of negotiations. But it's a benefit to the 12-month people where they can choose the holiday. And if we're not careful, we're going to back ourselves in a corner of having to designate which of those days are floating holidays. And I don't think most people realize that they got 2 floating holidays. Most of them, maybe y'all did, but it's there in policy. And someone mentioned the federal holidays. I think there's only 10 federal holidays. If I counted correctly, we have, our employees get 11, I believe. They get more than them are federal. State, Tennessee, Martin Luther King, you were here last month. That is a state holiday. And if we're going to do that every year, then we need to change the floating holiday to where it's not up to the individual. To me, it's an advantage to the individual for them to pick which are floating holidays. And there are becoming one in June that you're going to be faced with too. I've forgotten what the title of it is.
Juneteenth.
June what?
Juneteenth.
That's going to be a federal holiday. It is a federal holiday. And, you know, there will be questions with that. But if we're going to designate the floating holidays, we need to do that by board policy and take out these floating. Personally, I think it's a benefit to all of our 12-month people here to leave the 2 floating holidays. Some of them choose their birthday, I guess. I've heard some talk about it anyway, as a floating holiday.
It has been a rarity, but I will say that we have done it, I believe, at least on one occasion where the 4th of July or something of that nature might fall on a day when it's best. If it falls on a Thursday, we might designate that floating holiday on Friday. We did that 1 year, so that there would be a 4-day weekend with that. But it's a rarity. And as far as our employees go, I think they're well aware of those 2 floating holidays. But again, this policy will be on first reading, and it will be just for review. I'm not asking for approval tonight. The next policy, item C, is policy 5.3051. This is a policy that was written, Families First Coronavirus Response Act. I'm actually asking tonight that we delete this policy because this policy is no longer relevant, primarily due to the date range. The date range was April 1, 2020 until December 31st, 2020. And we have taken action to move forward without this without this policy.
That policy actually said, sunset when
Yes.
that passed.
Yes, so I will be asking this evening to remove this policy, and I will be asking for your approval on first reading.
We can do that as one motion, can't we, like we did once before, just go ahead and make the motion to, approve in first reading.
We did check that with TSBA, and they concurred that certainly we could delete that policy. The next item on your agenda is item D, Sullivan Central Middle School modular unit removal. Those of you that are familiar with that campus, in the front of that campus, if you're looking straight at the building to the right, there are 2 modular units sitting there that are becoming what I would term an eyesore. They're not currently being utilized. There is no future utilization. We've had those on gov deals before. We've gotten no bids on them. So I have talked with Charlie, we've talked with the highway department. I would like to demolish those 2 modular units over spring break and remove those from the campus. I will be seeking your approval for that this evening. And Charlie, do you have anything that you would add to that, what I've just said?
No, I've already contacted the highway department, and of course, we'll have to get an account set up with the landfill, you know what I'm saying, to dispose of it, and then with what they will use on doing it. There's also one behind that was the old ISS room. It would require being done either in the summer or sometime when we don't have a lot of traffic back there. But at the moment, the Four Seasons have got the contract to do the HVAC.
Yes.
They're gonna be utilizing that. We're going to make that, convert that into their trailer, their construction trailer, that we can have meetings and stuff in, and that way they're not gonna have to pull something else on site to take up more space.
Did you tell them the cost of that, so they take it with them?
I should. Yes.
We can also utilize the space where the 2 modulars are right now for any lay down for equipment that Four Seasons will use. Four Seasons is close to really getting started on that project. They've already been through the building. Excited about getting that one started. So what I will be asking the board tonight is for approval to remove those 2 modular units. We've already unhooked plumbing. Again, they're serving no purpose to the school district except they really can be a nuisance and a most unattractive situation to that campus. Next on your agenda is annually, as we look at our curriculum, any special courses that we have to look at the renewal. And tonight we'll be asking for your approval for the renewal of the special course of baking and pastry arts. And that is at Westridge High School. That is
How
a,
many years we have to approve it before it becomes part of that curriculum? Sir, no?
It depends, it varies from course to course. Sometimes it's a 3-year approval, sometimes it's a 6. I think this one was a 3-year approval.
thank you very much, Brent, because I wasn't ready to answer that question.
Do these have to go through that 3 or 6 years? You can't just decide? Okay.
That, I really don't know how that's decided. We get it from the State Department, they say you
Okay.
got it for 3 or they got it for 6. I don't know how that's determined.
So you couldn't decide at year 2, you want to make it permanent, you have to go through the process? Oh,
Yes,
that's
sir.
interesting. Okay, thank you.
I knew it was different.
That's fine.
I was
And I'll
just-
take them to they were just coming to observe the board meeting as part of their preparation for that, so not in recognition. Well, I was gonna recognize them by name, but they won't be recognized. He can come in March. Yes, oh, yes.
So year 2? We're in year 2 right now.
Okay, so the next item on your agenda is
Yeah, every-
probably gonna take us just a little bit of time to work through. And that is, did I hit all our special courses? I did, didn't I? Debbie?
Yes.
Okay,
Most of our approvals for special courses are next year.
okay. And again, thank you, Brett.
Glad to help.
Okay, the next item on your agenda is, we got a letter from Charlie got a letter from the First Christian Church of Bluff City. This is the church that is located adjacent to Bluff City Elementary School that for several years our employees, our visitors have parked in that parking lot during the day. And so when I got this letter, we ended up doing quite a bit of research because the letter says, through the years, the Sullivan County Board of Education and First Christian Church of Bluff City have partnered to allow Bluff City schools to use the church parking areas with no charge, and the Sullivan County Board of Education would provide maintenance to the parking areas in kind. So then they go on to request that they'd like to have a 2-inch top coat and striping applied to the upper parking lot. The last time this was done in 2003, to the best of our recollection.
Who said that?
This letter that comes from the church.
2012, I think.
So this is.
13.
Well, let me go through my research. So in 2004, May 10th, 2004, there was board action. And I want to make sure I get this exactly correct, so I'm sorry. On a motion by Mrs. Grubb, seconded by Mr. Bright, the board unanimously approved an agreement with Bluff City Christian Church and another agreement with Lynn Garden Optimist Club. That agreement, that's all it says in this document, in the board minutes. But accompanying the board minutes is an agreement that we found, dated May 17th, 2004. Has everybody got one?
Got a spare?
I've got more. Do you need any more? Okay, this is the agreement, May 17th, 2004, between the Sullivan County Board of Education and the First Christian Church of Bluff City. You can see that this document cites Bluff City Elementary School as it adjoins the property in Bluff City, Tennessee, whereas there's insufficient parking for staff and visitors at Bluff City Elementary School, and whereas for a number of years, staff and visitors to the school property have used parking facilities at the church. Whereas the use of the church's parking facilities by persons employed by the board or visiting Bluff City Elementary School has contributed to the deterioration of the church's parking facilities. And whereas the board desires to continue using the church's parking facilities, now therefore in consideration of the board's use of the parking facility and for other good and valuable consideration, the receipt and sufficiency of which are hereby acknowledged, the parties hereby agree as follows. The board agrees to pay the church the sum of $15,500, which sum is agreed to be in satisfaction of any and all rights or claims which the church may have for the board's use of the church's parking facilities, past or present. The church agrees that employees of the board, including teachers and other employees, parents, and visitors of Bluff City Elementary School, may make reasonable use of the church parking facility in the same manner in which the parking facility has been used in the past. The board agrees that any future use of the church's parking facility shall be reasonable and in the manner in which the parking facility has been used in the past. The church agrees that the payment of the sum stated in section 1 above shall be in full and final satisfaction of any rights or claims relating to the board's use of the church's parking facility. The term of this agreement shall run for a period of 20 years, commencing on the date that the agreement is fully executed, notwithstanding the preceding sentence. This agreement shall terminate if said school shall permanently be closed by the board. The parties agree that the church shall have a right to add to, change, or modify its existing structures or parking lot as the church deems necessary, notwithstanding such additions, changes, or modification. The board shall retain the right to use the church's parking facilities. The board agrees that it will not interfere with the church's use of the parking facilities for its regularly scheduled services and functions or during non-scheduled events such as funeral services. This written agreement constitutes the entire agreement of the parties in any prior negotiations, oral agreements, or representations. And I think, quite frankly, what we're seeing here in 2004 is that the board paid $15,500 for a period of 20 years. Okay? Now, let's fast forward to 2013. In 2013, there was a board resolution to approve to amend the 2013-14 general purpose school budget by $15,500 to allow a one-time payment to First Christian Church of Bluff City for the use of the facilities. That also went to the county commission on the 21st day of January 2014. Our board approved that at their December 2nd, 2013 school board meeting.
This is the same church, right?
It is the same church. Now, if you read the document that goes along with that, the agreement, you can see that everything mentioned in it is Bluff City Middle School.
Is there this is kind of from the church, was there one from us on this day too? Was there something back in our minutes?
Nope, this is all I can find so far.
It's in our minutes that we approved.
It's
Okay, but
in
there-
the
okay,
minutes.
Just no document like that.
There's also a commission, I also have a resolution that went to the commission for $15,500 on January 21st, 2014. This agreement that I have given you here, though, if you'll notice it was signed by Dan Wells, who is the chairman of the board at that time. And there is a notary attached to it. Now, in this agreement, again, it's much like the other, but within this agreement, you know, I don't find any mention of 20 years or, unless I've missed it. And these were all the documents that we could come up with.
Was the 15.5 payment for the entire parking lot that was paid?
Well, I can't say. I don't, I mean, I know I've been around a long time, but I didn't even recall.
I was on the board when it was approved in 2013. And I remember that discussion because I was concerned about it.
Was it for paving or was it just a, I mean, because it doesn't really,
It was paving.
Yes.
it kind of seems like it's just a,
check.
here, I mean,
Well, it was actually just money.
yeah, just money. It just seems like it's just giving money.
Yeah, they said the paving.
Okay, I got you.
They did the paving.
Now,
Did they?
In 2000, was it 4?
Yeah.
But that's unsigned, was $15,500 paid in 2004 for a 20-year term, and then 9 years later, paid another $15,500.
Sounds like I didn't know about it.
$31,000. But the second agreement doesn't have a term
Well,
on
there
it,
might be a sign.
so that would be
Oh, she said,
in perpetuity.
that's what she was saying.
Now, the one thing I will add to this is certainly they have been a wonderful friend to the school district by allowing use of that parking facility. But I'm not sure, and what I'm going to do moving forward is ask Charlie to set up a meeting with the person that submitted the letter, making this request, and provide these documents and go through this with a little more information. But we were requested by them to do this, and I'm starting the conversation with you all tonight. It's on the agenda, but it won't be an action item. It's just for information at this point. And I didn't know if any of you have received any communication or any information, but at this point, that is the information that I have.
They're asking for a 2-inch top coat, right? They didn't ask for a set amount of money.
Which, who knows how much of it, because
A
paving is insane.
2-inch top coat would be, Charlie.
Right. Inch and a half is about the max you'll do, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what to do.
But it's still crazy expensive now, right?
One thing I will add is, if you all will recall, we have now paved the back parking lot at the elementary school. That has still not been lined. Once that is lined, we do think we'll be able to add possibly some additional parking there. I don't know how much relief that provides to that church parking lot. But also, since 2004, we purchased a house and tore that house down on the corner facing Bluff City Elementary and added parking there. So we've added quite a bit of parking, to be honest.
If I remember correctly, in discussion in 2013 dealt with athletic events and other activities that were taking place, which would be the middle school parks, and they had a need part. But elementary, how many times a year is there a need for teachers and parents to use?
I did talk to the principal of Bluff City Elementary, and I asked him how much parking was still going on there, how much was being utilized, and he said they're still using it. You know, you have parents come in, Grandparents' Day, you have PTA meetings and things, different things going on, so I'm certainly not saying that parking lot's not being utilized, but I'm trying to track documents and provide you all with all the information we have. But my next move was to ask Charlie if he could set up a meeting with the gentleman who, Mr. Andy Blake, who's the chairman, and see if we could go through these documents and see if they have anything that I don't have, or that we haven't found.
I'm down there a lot, and that parking lot's packed with our vehicles.
During the day?
Yes, I'm in and out of there, and if we didn't use that,
If that's the case, we need an agreement with them where we pay for use of the facility rather than paying for paving it. And that's what the first one there was, or looked like it was. Their request is for us to do the work on it, which, in my opinion, would create an issue legally.
The two agreements in the past have been to give them X amount of dollars for the use of the facility. This letter asks for us to actually do the work, so rather than us possibly using it as a rental or a lease or something of that nature, so I will be going back to them, trying to talk through this, and then I will come back to you all with some additional information in March.
So you found a resolution in 2014, but you didn't find a resolution for 2004.
I did not.
And with this being a draft and not signed, I even wonder if we did anything with it. I wonder if we paid anything at the time, or if they just asked and we ignored it. I mean, since this is a draft and it's not signed.
I thought she said we actually paid it right.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was paid.
You do think so? Okay.
There's a house that broke down there that they really want to get rid of, but it's really an eyesore, it's probably a danger. There's water there, the kids could get in and drink. It wouldn't be a great deal of parking, but that might be something we could purchase, square off and add some. It still wouldn't make up for what we're doing over there, but.
That is for an information for you all. I did not want to start conversations and then you all get information that I was having a conversation and you didn't know anything about it. So, not an action item, but just something that I'll be moving forward with Charlie and I and having a meeting and working through these documents and trying to make sure that I've provided you all with all the information and accurate information.
I guess I didn't really, I kind of read it with a different spin, but Matt's right. It just says they want to do the work, so we might be kind of overthinking this. They may just say, hey, we want help with this again. It doesn't really say they want us to do it, so
I think
it's kind of a, definitely good conversation, but I just think we're kind of, I went down the wrong path on it.
I think there needs to be a contract for the use of the building, I mean, for the use of the parking lot, rather than for us doing.
Things like that, facilities.
Yes, right, because we've got other churches around that we're doing the same thing and using for free.
Right.
And,
But they cite in their letter that the last time it was done in 2003, but we actually gave them additional dollars in 2013.
What they did is,
it was
I
paid.
don't know.
I think it was paid then, if I remember correctly, that's what they.
And this person may not have
Right.
accurate information. Mr. Jones, that concludes what I have for tonight's agenda. And it's back to you.
The only thing I have is our next board meeting is March the 2nd. And I will be going to Nashville for the TSBA Board of Directors meeting in mid-February. And they will decide what they're going to support as far as the various laws and stuff. So if you have any views on any of those as you read them, you'll send me notes. We're meeting on the 16th to take the vote on it, and then the 17th, we'll have the actual legal legislative action going on. There's lots of new bills out there regarding education already. Some of them are very controversial, so read those, and each one will be discussed, or at least they'll take a position on what they want to support.
I do not support John Lundberg's class size change. If we were able to use that to lower the class size, that would be good. So here again, it's one of those things that logically it's good. Like his reading by 3rd grade, logically that's good. But if the state doesn't have a cap for the class size, then we won't be able to control that to the point, because those years, Mark, the county commission will then say, well, we're not going to fund blah, 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 then we're going to have to cut back, and then that means more kids in the classroom. So he must have been listening to me last month. We was talking at the board meeting.
Just as an update for all of you, I don't know if you possibly may get some phone calls. We did send home our third grade letter yesterday. And that's as it's laid out by the State Department. We'll be having lots of parent conferences on Monday, or at least we hope we're having, anyone that got a letter, we hope we're having those conferences Monday. Until we hear differently, if there is anything coming differently, we will continue on the same path that we're on right now. All right, so if you all will, we've got soup and some cake for dessert in the kitchen, so please help yourself. There's drinks. And then it's 6 o'clock, and we will move downstairs at 6:30.